Let's look at the time between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Old Testament, New Testament. The law, history, poetry, major prophets, minor prophets, gospels, history, letters by Paul to churches, letters by Paul to others, general letters, prophecy. The last 100 years of Old Testament history. The books of Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther tell us what happened in the last 100 years of Old Testament history. Ezra and Nehemiah tell of the return of some of the Jewish captives to their own land. They tell how the people rebuilt the temple and then the wall of Jerusalem. The book of Esther tells events that happened to Jews who remained in Persia during this period of time. Some of the prophets also tell events that happened at this time. Malachi was the last of the Old Testament prophets. 400 years of silence. Then from Nehemiah and Malachi to the beginning of the New Testament times, 400 years passed by. During this time, no biblical prophets spoke or wrote. These years were often called the years of silence, but they were far from silent. A lot of changes were going on. What happened during those 400 years? We can understand the New Testament better if we know some of the things that happened during the 400 years before the New Testament begins. The Holy Land, a land bridge. If you look at the map, you'll see that the Holy Land is like a bridge of land that connects 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Because of the important location of this little piece of land, every world empire that came to power wanted to control it. And so the Holy Land was conquered first by one and then another world power. Alexander the Great conquered Philistia, as the Greeks called it. He introduced the Greek language and customs to the land. When Alexander died, his empire went to his 4 generals. The kingdom founded in Egypt conquered the land first. Then this kingdom was overpowered by the kingdom founded in Syria and Mesopotamia. Europe, Thrace, Black Sea, Asia Minor, Greece, Mediterranean Sea, Africa, Egypt, Nile River, Red Sea, Arabia, Mesopotamia, Euphrates River, the Holy Land, Syria, Tigris River, Caspian Sea, Asia, Persian Gulf. Worship in the Holy Land. Some of the conquerors of the land allowed Jews to worship as they wished, but one of the rulers, Antiochus, tried to force the Jews to adopt Greek customs and worship. Antiochus tried to stop the Jews from worshiping the one true God. He tried to get rid of all copies of the Torah, the 5 books of law. He commanded the Jews to worship the Greek god Zeus. He set up a statue of Zeus in the temple at Jerusalem and sacrificed a pig in the temple. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, the Torah, the temple. The Jews revolt. Because of the terrible things Antiochus was doing, the Jews revolted and fought victoriously for their independence. The Maccabee family who led the revolt became the new rulers. Roman rule. The Jews' independence did not last long. Their land was soon conquered by the expanding Roman Empire. The conquering Romans killed the Jewish priests as they were ministering at the temple. This and other acts made the Jews hate their Roman conquerors. They hoped their promised Messiah would come soon and free them from Roman rule. The stage is set. At last the stage was set for the coming of the Messiah. God chose a time when the wonderful message of the coming of the Savior could be spread quickly throughout the entire world. When the Greeks were in power, they had established Greek as a common language for the lands they conquered. When the Romans were in power, they built a great network of roads. The good news about Jesus could be sent throughout the world. Through the years, God has told his people many things about the promised Savior. He told them the promised Savior would be born in David's family line. He told them many things the promised Savior would do. He even told them where the promised Savior would be born, Micah 5:2, but he didn't say when. The Savior is coming. And now, after 400 years without any new messages from God's prophets, the time had come. The stage was set. The Son of God was about to leave his home in heaven and be born as a baby in Bethlehem. He was about to come to earth to be our Savior, just as God had promised over and over again in Old Testament times. The New Testament opens with this wonderful event.